What's up guys? In this video, I'll share my 5 worst purchases I've made so far in my late teens and early 20s. Cha-ching! I'll be giving you the exact breakdown of how much money I actually wasted on these things so you can learn from my mistakes and hopefully avoid these situations in your life. It can be very expensive to learn from your own mistakes, so why not take the more affordable option and learn from my mistakes instead? If you watch this video till the end, you might just save yourself a lot of money, stress, and headaches by avoiding some of these bad purchases that you might regret down the road. So hit that thumbs up button early on to officially get your ticket to today's show of learning from Edley's mistakes for free. Let's get into it. Number 1 on this list are non-refundable deposits. A non-refundable deposit is exactly what it means. You pay a certain amount of money to book or secure a product, but in the end, if you don't pay the remaining balance, then you basically forfeit your money and you lose it entirely. Most of the time, these non-refundable deposits are offered on expensive products that people cannot afford to buy upfront, or on products that are not ready to be delivered yet. The seller will convince you to make a deposit to basically reserve your product and will only deliver it to you later when you make a full payment. It's also a sneaky way to get you to commit to buy an expensive item you wouldn't normally buy upfront by allowing you to make a small step as an initial commitment. If you end up paying the balance and getting what you wanted, then that's fine. But if you're like me, and you decide to change your mind, or if the product cannot be delivered, then you probably just made a bad purchase and wasted your money. In my scenario, I wanted to attend an event that cost 5,000 ringgit. I didn't have the money to pay the full amount upfront, so the salesperson convinced me to make a 20% deposit so that I could reserve my spot and I could pay the remaining balance before the event date. I only found out that this deposit was non-refundable after making payment, so please read the terms and conditions before paying. This was in early 2020, and just before the scheduled event date, the pandemic hit, things went in lockdown, and physical events weren't allowed anymore. The organizers tried to make it an online event, and I was already changing my mind, and I tried so many times to ask for my money back, but they just wouldn't let me have it. My fault for not reading the terms of the agreement, but I essentially paid 1,000 ringgit for absolutely nothing. Now that's money well wasted. If you really want something and it costs too much for you to make an upfront payment, maybe you should reconsider, because making a non-refundable deposit will not change the fact that you can't afford it. If you could think of a scenario where making a non-refundable deposit would be a good choice, let me know down in the comments, because I can't think of any right now. Number 2 on this list is a gym membership that I never used. This is a very common one. We set a goal to hit the gym, we go there for a few months, and then we don't show up anymore. In my scenario, I bought a year's membership and I only went twice. But before I tell you my story, you need to know that gyms rely on people not coming for them to make money. Gyms usually sell more memberships than they can physically handle because they know that most people are not going to show up. But my story was that back then when I was in uni, I moved to a place closer to my campus and I wanted a place to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since I was already training a few months before I moved. I found a gym that was close by and I immediately signed up for a year's membership. I went to 2 classes and then I didn't feel like going anymore because I didn't enjoy the training and I was just lazy. I think that cost me 3,000 ringgit for a 12-month membership. I can't even remember exactly how much the price was right now because I tried very hard to not think about it because it was just so painful at the time. If you're looking for a gym membership, I'd suggest you try it out for a few months first, even if you have to pay more for a monthly membership compared to a yearly one. Go for 3 or 4 months first and see how you like the place before committing to a long-term membership. You might think you'll be saving money by immediately going for the yearly membership like I did, but if you end up not liking the place, then you're not going to show up and your money is going to be wasted. Another thing to look out for when you're buying a gym membership is whether the gym allows you to freeze your membership when you can't train, whether because of injury, travel, or it's a lockdown. This means that your membership is on hold and you don't burn through it when you can't train. A bonus tip that you can look out for is whether your gym allows you to sell your membership to other people. This is really useful for when you can't train anymore at that particular gym because you have to move or for whatever reason, at least you can recoup your money by selling it to someone else. This is actually how I got started training at my current gym. I bought the membership of someone else who didn't want to train anymore and I got a really good deal. Number 3 on this list is eating out too often. This is a big one and I know a lot of people who fall into this trap, especially now because of things like GrabFood and Foodpanda and how easy it is to spend unnecessarily on food. For me personally, I was at the deep end of this mistake and I spent 2 years eating out every day. 2 years. This was also when I was back in uni, where I stayed at the time. There were tons of restaurants around. I was too lazy to cook, so I would just go out and eat at the restaurant every day. And this took a massive blow on my finances. I think the majority of my student loans went to the restaurants that I went to every day. So let's calculate this. On average, I would spend 25 ringgit a day on food. Multiply that by 300 days a year, minus the days that I would go back to my mom's place. And that's 7,500 ringgit a year, or 15,000 ringgit in 2 years for food. Now that might not seem so bad, 7,000 ringgit a year for food, but when you consider that the food I was eating outside at the restaurants weren't very nutritious and that the cost to make them was far less than what I paid for them, then I'd say that this is hands down one of the worst purchase decisions that I've made, especially when you combine it with the fact that I did this for 2 years. But thankfully, after this disaster, I learned how to cook at home and I'm able to make nutritious meals with a fraction of the price compared to eating out every day. I still eat out every now and then, but nothing beats a home-cooked meal where you know every single thing that goes in it. Number 4 on this list is not smashing that like button and clicking subscribe because you're missing out on all the awesome videos that we're putting out, and that could cost you a lot of money. No, but seriously, number 4 on this list is trinkets from social media ads. So you're scrolling on Instagram and out of the sudden you see an ad that shows you this awesome projector that you can watch Netflix on and turn your room into a cinema. Or you get an ad that tells you that most cats are dehydrated because they don't like drinking stale water, so you should buy this water fountain that costs $50. This actually happened to me recently. I saw an ad of this water fountain for my cat and I was interested in it, but I'll tell you that story in a bit. Because as an experienced trinket buyer from social media ads, I knew better. In the past, I would buy all sorts of trinkets like bracelets, motorcycle gloves, and whatever product that gets put in front of me on social media. Most of the time, these products are drop shipped, meaning the seller buys it on AliExpress and then marks up the price and sells it to you, so most of the time it will be overpriced. These ads are usually very attention grabbing and they add a sense of urgency for you to buy it right now to get a good deal. If you really want something you saw on a social media ad, I suggest you try checking Shopee or Lazada first because chances are they're selling it there for a much more reasonable price. Going back to the water fountain example for my cat, I saw the ad and the water fountain costs $50 or 200 ringgit. So I checked on Shopee and I found the exact same water fountain for 50 ringgit, and so I bought it there instead. So counting all the trinkets that I bought on social media, I'd say I spent around 500 ringgit and I don't even have all these items with me anymore. Number 5 on this list is buying cheap stuff. I like affordable things as much as you do, but there's a difference between cheap and affordable. When you buy cheap things and they break or stop working, then you might spend more money than if you just bought a better quality product. Plus, you don't get a good experience using cheap things, so it's not even worth it in the first place. When I was young, my dad would buy us knockoff football boots from Giant instead of buying us the proper Adidas or Nike boots. And he wanted to save money, but these boots would break so often that he would have to buy 4 or 5 pairs every year. And when we counted it all up, it cost more for him to buy these knockoff boots compared to if he bought the real quality Nike or Adidas boots. This example isn't my personal mistake, but I can't think of something cheap that I bought that ended up costing more money in the future. So buy it nice or buy it twice. Now let's talk about the most important lesson that I made from making all these mistakes and what you can do to avoid them, or if you've already made these mistakes, what you can do to make the most out of it. But before that, I want to talk about something that is definitely not a bad purchase, which is investing in your skills. And what better way to invest in your skills than with today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning platform where you can learn new skills like graphic design, web development, freelancing, and entrepreneurship. It's great for anyone who wants to expand their knowledge or gain valuable skills that they can use in their personal or professional life. And it's suitable for both beginners and seasoned professionals. Skillshare classes include a combination of video lessons and hands-on projects that can help you get the experience you need. You can take them whenever you like and learn new skills without getting distracted by ads, and you can focus on learning on your own schedule as most of their classes are under 60 minutes. They're always launching new, interesting classes for their members, and you can join Skillshare for less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. I recently took a Skillshare class called YouTube Success by Marquez Brownlee, and my biggest takeaway from that class is to create videos that I personally would want to watch on YouTube. The first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below will get a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership so you can start learning new skills today. So what did I learn from making all these mistakes? And if you've already made these mistakes, what's the best way for you to recover from it? I learned this lesson from one of my coaches at the gym. He told me that mistakes are money in the bank if you learn from them. So because of the fact that I've made all of these mistakes and experienced all the pain of wasting so much money, I'm now more aware of the potential mistakes that I could make in the future, and I can proactively avoid them. You will always make mistakes. That's just how life is. But if you learn from them, and maybe if you talk about them in front of a camera for the whole world to see, then maybe you will get an important lesson, and that lesson will be the best lesson that you could ever get. Let me know in the comments, what's the worst purchase you've made? And let's have some fun reading other people's worst purchase decisions in the comment section below. As always, smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're up to date with our latest videos, and I'll see you in the next one.